Kids crying.
Tragedy.
Have been struck by a vehicle.
Now, Fort Wayne's NBC News with new interviews unlike any you've heard before.
In the moment, you can't have feelings.
Yeah, everyone in the fort remembers this school bus tragedy last year in Rochester. 3 siblings hit and killed, and a 4th child critically injured as they crossed a state highway to board their school bus. First at 11 tonight, Linda's sit-down interview with someone who played a key role in getting help to that scene.
Tom, imagine being the person on the other end of that 911 call. I actually talked with the Fulton County dispatcher who was trying to keep a woman at the scene calm so that woman could be her eyes and ears. A dispatcher's responsibilities involve split-second decisions and managing stress. They are often the unsung heroes.
October 30th, 2018, State Road 25 in Fulton County.
Reference children that were getting on the bus.
A morning people in the small town of Rochester will never forget.
Have been struck by a vehicle.
The losses of 6-year-old twins Xavier and Mason Ingle and their 9-year-old sister Olivia Stahl. Then 11-year-old Maverick Lowe critically hurt.
It was a typical morning. You know, we were fixing our breakfast and 911 rang, and that was it.
Since then, we've heard from family members, investigators, and people who live there, but not from the people on the other end of those emergency calls.
In the moment, you can't have feelings or you're going to lose it.
Krista Sutton served a decade as an EMT and has been a dispatcher for just over 20 years. She remembers hearing one thing in the background of her call as she got information from a witness trying to keep that woman calm.
Kids crying.
Eventually, when things calmed down, she called her boss, Fulton County 911 Director Gail Karras, who's been in the field more than 20 years. That's when Sutton cried.
And I knew as soon as she said my name, I knew something was wrong. I personally have never, ever witnessed anything like that.
A dispatcher's job requires intense training, multitasking, compassion, and understanding, no matter what.
If they took the time to call 911, that's an emergency to them.
Think about what a dispatcher can hear on the other end of a 911 call. Sometimes it's a person's final breath at a time of tragedy, but other times it can be a baby's first cry.
Oh, you got to keep your calm, otherwise you'll lose control of the caller. You've got to get that information for your paramedics, your firefighters, your officers.
Some of those calls can be so bad, post-traumatic stress syndrome can set in. At that point, it's crucial to recognize the signs, lean on other members of the first responder family or counselors, and deal with it.
When somebody takes a traumatic call, I want to be there for my dispatcher. I want them out of the seat. I want them to take time away.
I talk to my partner a lot. My husband, he used to be on a fire department. He somewhat understands. Talking, yeah.
Both are also faithful.
God will put you in the right place at the right time.
Sutton says she calls people on the other end of the phone by name. She makes it personal.
I, in my mind, try to put myself on scene with them.
When somebody says thank you at the end of that phone conversation, that means the world to us.
That morning of the school bus tragedy, the kind of morning neither woman had ever experienced, remember Sutton had to picture the scene in her mind. The damaged pickup that just hit 4 children. The school bus with its stop arm out and lights flashing. She wasn't there. The day after and still today, a memorial to the children. Sutton didn't take a 911 call for 4 months after the school bus tragedy until a friend of hers called, her husband lying on the floor needing CPR. The outcome wasn't good, but just a couple weeks ago she learned she'd made a difference.
That friend of mine's daughter wants to be a 911 dispatcher. I heard her tell somebody because the influence she had with my mom in her darkest hour. I want to do that. I'm like, yes, that's why I do this.
Sutton answered other calls at work after the school bus tragedy until that 911 call from her friend. You know, several industry studies do point out just how much stress really plays a role in 911 dispatching. Eye-opening information and two very special interviews. My thanks to both women. Tom? Here's a question. Ever dream of driving a race car? In the Fort, that dream can come true at the Baer Motorsports Park. And I want you to meet a driver who's making quite a name for himself. This sign at Bluffton and Winters Roads leads you right to the track, built in the early 60s south of the airport. And that GoPro video shows the talent behind the wheel of Phenom driver Casey Nash. This is from a race at Lucas Oil Raceway Park, and it shows right there him avoiding a crash right in front of him. Just amazing. Casey is a second-generation driver who's worked hard to win as we continue to focus on the finish line.
He's got a lot of potential. He has grown tremendously.
26-year-old Casey Nash of Fort Wayne grew up at Baer Field, the son of Paul Nash, a driver here for several years.
I'd be lying if I were to say that I never wanted to race the Indy 500 or race in NASCAR. But at the same time, I love what we do here, and I'll be perfectly fine if this is what I have to do for the rest of my racing career. Some of my earliest memories was always being here at the racetrack. I always wanting to come to the racetrack.
Here's Casey around age 1 with his dad. Here he is with his parents after his dad's first win at Baer Field in 1996. Lots of magic on the track, but a one-car garage is where that magic begins, from the ground up.
We've done all of our cars out of that small garage, and it's challenging, but we've just adapted, and that's the same way we do with our racing. We just try to adapt.
Casey drives around the half-mile oval, paved track, and 3/8 short track, a graduate of go-kart racing as a kid here. He crashed at age 9, took a break, and then began racing stock cars as a teen and hasn't looked back. Fast gear to 2017 and his first win in a stock car. First thing he wanted to do? Hug his mom. It was the beginning of a great year.
We got to get faster. We want to win.
Last season, his first in modified stock, and he came in second in the point standings.
I was so proud. I mean, to watch your son win a race or even just do good, you know, and compete like that in something that you did, it was pretty special.
Casey will tell you racing is truly a family affair, and there's no money to burn.
The way it works around here for us is we try to do well enough so that we can race the next week. Everything goes right back into the race car.
In the pits, it's Casey, Paul, and Casey's uncle. That's it.
My family is my team. It's never just me. I can't thank any of the people that helped me enough.
And Casey and team race with one thing front and center.
Safety is my number one thing. We have onboard extinguished bottles. I have everything in the car for him to be as safe as he possibly can.
Not lost on this young driver, the history of this track.
I never really thought that I would be out here, but it just came around to be that way, and I was out here, so I cherish it that much more.
Oh, he's a great kid. I wish we had 100 more of them.
We're here for the sport because we enjoy it and we love it. Our goal this year is to win the championship.
I've worked so hard, and it's not that I want to go down as a Hall of Fame or anything like that, but I just want to go out here and be recognized as somebody that raced you clean or somebody that was a friend. Whew.
Casey and the other drivers' new season at Baer Field actually began this past Saturday, the 18th, and he won his heat race. He finished second in the feature race. Now, when I went to visit him, he actually let me get in his race car. I got to sit behind the wheel. I even got to start the engine, and that's where it ended. I did not drive, but it was a thrill. By the way, the track did close out at Baer Field for a short time, about 5 years ago. Dave, though, told me it's definitely open for business. These days, all the ticket information you need is on the Baer Motorsports Park website, so we encourage you to go there.
All right, switching gears now. If you know Linda, you know she loves the circus. She grew up in Peru, Indiana, performing in the youth circus there, an organization that is celebrating its 60th year. And guess what? She ran away the other night and is standing by to share the fun. Linda?
Tom, it's a magical time and place, and this is a big year. The 12 years I performed are priceless to me, and the people with this all-volunteer family pride themselves on preserving circus history and building strong futures for some amazing young people. And each performance begins with a prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we are so grateful for this family that we have here, Lord.
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages.
The thing I love the most about circus is that it's such a unique opportunity. I mean, not every kid can get to say, oh, I'm in a circus, you know.
Welcome to Peru, Indiana, the circus capital of the world.
Circus isn't something that we just do for a hobby. It's something we are. It's something we live every day.
And Miami County's own permanent Big Top.
Every July, Peru's circus history is brought to life in the faces of these young performers. Accompanied by a 120-piece band, the best circus band in the land. Several generations in some families are involved.
I've been down here 40 years. My kids were performers. I now have grandchildren in the show.
My niece is a former performer who now trains and is watching her two young girls, ages 8 and 10, perform for the first time. She says this is all quite different as a mom.
We train everybody else's, and we know they're safe, and we know they're getting the best training from my fellow trainers down here, but it's a lot different when it's your own kid. It's a lot different.
What acts are you in? Low passing, contortions, single hoops, and advanced tumbling.
Do you have a favorite?
Probably low passing.
Why?
I just like doing aerial acts.
You get to perform with your sister.
Yeah.
Is that pretty special?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I just like her.
Of course, circus runs in the family, so it was something that they were super excited to have the opportunity to do, and they are just loving it.
I just like being able to hang out with friends and be able to have teamwork with other people.
You smile all the time. You must be having the time of your life.
The family aspect of it is my favorite. Like all these little guys back behind me here, I trained them all, and they mean the world to me.
And the months of practice bring all the hard work to these moments.
The circus teaches you great athletic pieces, and it makes you strong, but I think, and what most people down here will tell you, is that it's about the teamwork, and it's about the trust, and it's about the family. I mean, circus is a family.
Well, nearly 200 performers between the ages of 7 and 21 are waiting to entertain you, including the Backover boys I met last year at practice, and Cortland Crow. She's the first girl ever to be catcher on the flying trapeze. My twin brother, younger sister, and I all performed many years, and our parents volunteered as well. And Tom, performances do continue tomorrow, 1 tomorrow night, 2 Saturday in Peru. Ticket info is at perucircus.com. I'll have all the info on our website and Facebook page. And don't forget, 10 a.m. Saturday morning, a big traditional circus parade at Main and Broadway in Peru.
I have a confession to make.
What's that confession?
The first time you told me you were in the circus, I thought you were pulling a fast one on me.
You thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke. I didn't know about the Peru Circus. And now that I know about the tradition and about the tradition of family involved and all of that, what a cool thing to have where you're growing up.
So unique.
Yeah.
And I feel blessed to be able to go back on a somewhat regular basis and be able to kind of shout from the rooftop the story that is in
It's very cool.
Peru.
And I also learned that you don't say the circus, you just say circus.
Circus.
That's right.
And family. Big part of it. You are correct.
How fun.